Story 1. I used to work part-time at Spirit Halloween, a job that I cherished for the perks it offered. Notably, the position granted me a discount on all their merchandise, which was a significant benefit given my passion for Halloween and the often high prices of the items. However, during my time there, our store faced a severe understaffing issue, which resulted in me being scheduled to work on Halloween night itself. This was undoubtedly a buzzkill for someone who adored Halloween as much as I did, but I couldn't escape the reality of bills that needed to be paid. I resolved to navigate my entire shift without a sour attitude and kept my customer service persona in place. The store was abuzz with activity throughout the day, as one would expect on Halloween. Throngs of last-minute shoppers descended upon us, keeping us busier than ever. Just an hour before closing, two young men walked in, and something about their demeanor immediately struck me as suspicious. They seemed to be in their early to mid-20s and went straight to the back where we kept the masks. Their darting glances and lowered heads as they entered the store set off alarm bells. Working at Spirit Halloween, we occasionally dealt with theft, so I couldn't help but worry that these two might engage in illicit activities. As time passed, they stayed in the store for about 10 minutes, during which they eventually joined the line to make a purchase. To my surprise, they didn't appear to be planning a theft after all. I silently scolded myself for jumping to conclusions. When they reached the register, they each bought two masks, a Freddy Krueger mask and a Chucky mask. After they paid, I placed the masks in a bag, and they left the store without any incident. However, within minutes of their departure, I realized that my cell phone had vanished. I had left it on the counter beside me while ringing up customers. A frantic search ensued, but my phone was nowhere to be found. This added frustration to the misery of working on Halloween night. As the day drew to a close, I left the store to head home, trying to maintain the Halloween spirit. I returned around 10:30 p.m., relieved to find children still trick-or-treating in my neighborhood. I distributed candy for about half an hour until the activity dwindled, prompting me to retreat indoors. My nightly routine consisted of watching the original 1978 Halloween film while sipping pumpkin beer in solitude. I was engrossed in the movie when, close to midnight, an unexpected knock disrupted my peace. Given the late hour, I was baffled as to who could be at my door. With a handful of candy, I cautiously opened the door, only to find nobody in sight. However, something eerie lay on my front steps, a Freddy Krueger mask and a Chucky mask, identical to those the two customers had purchased. To my astonishment, when I examined the Chucky mask, I discovered my missing cell phone nestled within. My bewilderment escalated when I unlocked the phone and found that my background image had been changed to a picture of me leaving Spirit Halloween and walking to my car. This discovery sent chills down my spine. I conducted a thorough check of my phone to ensure nothing else had been tampered with, and thankfully, everything else appeared intact. However, I remained clueless as to how those two customers had learned my address and cell phone passcode. It seemed plausible that they had followed me home, and that night, sleep eluded me, leaving me with unanswered questions and an unsettling sense of dread. Story 2. In our Spirit Halloween store, there was a massive skeleton on display, fondly nicknamed Grim by both staff and customers. Grim was a beloved attraction. Customers often took selfies with it and struck various poses, making it a focal point of the store. This particular mid-October Saturday, as we prepared to close the store for the night, it was just me, my manager Jill, and my coworker Andy. We diligently completed all closing duties, ensured there were no lingering customers, and locked up the store, thinking our work was done. As we gathered in the back break room to discuss our upcoming schedules, a noise suddenly emanated from the front of the store, interrupting our conversation. Intrigued, we ventured to the front to investigate. Initially, we saw nothing out of the ordinary, but upon closer inspection, we were baffled by an inexplicable occurrence. Grim, the giant skeleton that typically greeted customers at the front of the store, now stood at the far end, near the back of the store. This defied all logic, as Grim had been securely anchored at the front to greet customers upon entry. Perplexed by this peculiar phenomenon, we suspected that someone might still be inside the store, responsible for moving Grim. To investigate, we divided our efforts, with each of us checking different sections of the store. However, our search took a disconcerting turn when the store's lights began to flicker on and off, casting eerie shadows and creating an unsettling atmosphere. The tension escalated as the lights continued their erratic behavior, and, to our dismay, we heard an eerie, childlike laughter amid the flickering lights. The laughter sounded entirely out of place, akin to a child giggling at an inappropriate joke. As abruptly as it had started, the laughter ceased, and the light stabilized. We continued our search, scouring every corner of the store meticulously, but our efforts yielded no sign of any intruders or mischief makers. Determined to uncover the truth, my manager, Jill, suggested reviewing the security camera footage to determine if anyone had accessed the store or tampered with Grim. However, when we attempted to access the camera feed, we were met with a vexing and perplexing issue. The footage was grainy, distorted, and filled with static. It was as though an impenetrable veil had descended over the screen, rendering it impossible to discern any details. Strangely, this grainy distortion afflicted only the time frame during and after the noise we had heard. The rest of the day's footage remained clear and unaffected. To this day, we remain without a plausible explanation for how Grim had been transported from the front of the store to the back without any sign of intrusion, or how the mysterious laughter and camera distortion had occurred. We have pondered whether this might have been a paranormal phenomenon or an elaborate prank, but the sheer absurdity and inexplicability of the events leave us leaning toward the former. The enigma of Grim's midnight journey and the eerie laughter continue to haunt our memories, leaving us with more questions than answers. Story 3. It was a late September evening last year when I found myself working at Spirit Halloween on a Thursday. The day appeared deceptively normal as the store bustled with activity, customers of all ages browsing and buying an assortment of spooky items. As the evening deepened and the world outside grew darker, a thin, frail-looking man entered the store. His emaciated frame was visible beneath a baggy white t-shirt, and his pants struggled to stay up, despite the presence of a tightly cinched belt. His appearance struck me immediately, and a sense of unease settled over me. I watched the man closely as he wandered through the rows of masks and costumes, a strange vibe emanating from him. There was an eerie quality to his presence that left me on edge. Our paths eventually crossed, and we made eye contact. It was then that he started moving toward me. I anticipated he might be looking to make a purchase, but to my astonishment, he approached without any items in hand. Instead, he produced a Swiss Army knife, flicking it open menacingly. Leaning in closer, he delivered a chilling proclamation. "You know, I was supposed to do something very bad to you, my sexy lady, but I don't think I want to." The store was relatively empty at this point, and my manager was absent, leaving me alone at the register with this menacing stranger. Fear coursed through my veins, rendering me speechless and uncertain how to respond to such a threat. Sensing my apprehension, the man cruelly laughed, retracting the blade and extending it toward me. My mind raced, but my body remained paralyzed. In my state of shock, I accepted the knife from him, a decision I would later deeply regret. The man then sauntered over to a nearby wall adorned with masks and selected a scarecrow mask, which he donned with eerie deliberation. Returning to me, he extended his hand, demanding the return of the knife. Still bewildered and unable to process the bizarre turn of events, I handed the knife back to him, unable to comprehend the surreal nature of the situation. In a final twist, he reached into his pocket, producing a $100 bill, which he placed on the counter. With a macabre chuckle, he stashed the knife away and offered cryptic words, "You know, reality isn't what it seems. I'm not a monster, I'm just a man." And with that unsettling statement, he departed from the store, leaving me traumatized and bewildered. In a state of shock and panic, I rushed to the back office to find my manager and recounted the harrowing encounter through tears. To my dismay, the unsettling ordeal didn't end there. As I left the store at around 6 p.m., I spotted the same man sitting in his car in the parking lot. To my horror, he was still wearing the scarecrow mask, and as I climbed into my own vehicle, he waved at me menacingly, the knife still clutched in his hand. I wasted no time in fleeing the scene, driving home as fast as I could, haunted by the encounter with the stranger who defied explanation. To this day, I remain baffled by the motivations and mental state of that individual. Whether he was under the influence of hard drugs or suffering from severe mental instability, his menacing actions left an enduring mark on me. The incident had such a profound impact that I adamantly refused to work any shifts that extended beyond 6 p.m. Despite this unnerving encounter, I continue to return to Spirit Halloween every season, but I have not encountered that disturbing individual again, leaving me to wonder about the mysteries that still lurk within the realm of the Halloween store.